Sorry. The meeting will come to order. This will be the January meeting of City of Cherokee Village, 2023. We're going to start, actually, I need to give the oath of office to two of our council members, and then we'll get into our regular agenda. Mr. Thompson and Mr. Heffley, will you stand and raise your right hand? I state your name.
I, Andrew J. Heffley,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the State of Arkansas, uphold the ordinances of the City of Cherokee Village, and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of council member to which I have been duly appointed. Say I do.
I do. I do.
Thank you.
All right, that's a short one.
That was a shortened version. Next, we're going to have would everybody please stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to recognize a moment of silence. Amen. Ms. Clerk, will you do the roll call, please?
Rowan. Tatum.
Here.
Heffley.
Here.
Ishmael.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
And Martin.
Here.
Quorum established.
Okay. We had a little bit of time to look over the agenda. Good.
Mayor, I strongly request that you remove that proclamation that was sent to you by the Highlands School Board off the agenda because it's political. None of the other cities nor the county read that proclamation or was given that proclamation, and it looks like it's all political to be a slap in the face against the voters that 2/3 of the majority voted against that. So I strongly recommend that that proclamation not get read tonight.
To be up to the council if you want to make that into a motion, it's up to the council to amend the agenda. You make the motion
To remove that from the agenda, correct.
So Mr. Martin makes a motion to remove item number 8 from new business, proclamation for Highland Rebels received from Arkansas School Board Association. Is there a second? Do I hear a second?
Fails for lack of second. Gotcha.
Fails for lack of second. Got public comments and questions on the agenda items?
One other question, Mayor.
Yes.
When we approve the agenda, any other thing that's on the agenda, we commit to it at the time that it comes up, correct? Instead of making our objections known here, right?
Yes. If I'm reading it
Okay.
right, yes.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as it sits.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Tatum to approve the agenda as stated. Get a voice vote.
Tatum.
Yes.
Heffley.
Yes.
Ishmael.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Next is the correspondence, which there is none. I do have a note here from said the street department report was missing from the packet. Is that, Ms. Clerk?
That has been put into each of your council packets. It was not put into the council packet.
Okay. So, oh, really? So now I guess we go to the financial report.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a few questions, if I
Yes,
may.
sir. Yeah, go ahead.
If you're looking at your first page that comes through on the financials, it shows the taxes that we've received from Sharp County, from Fulton County, and the city of Cherokee Village. When I'm looking through this, and then I go to our financials itself, on page 1 of 15, none of these numbers are matching. The sales tax received page, the large one, if you look at the bottom, the Cherokee Village number is 37,000. The number that we're showing coming through on our financials is 400,000. What we've got coming in from Sharp County is 662,000. What we're showing on our financials is 717,000. What we're coming in from Fulton County is 68,000, and we're showing 73,000 in some odd sense. Which one of these am I looking at?
Yeah, but- Let's stand up so I can hear you.
Misty does that report, and I guess Misty's here, is she? Misty does all the revenue, the ones coming in, and I handle the money that's going out, and so that's all I did about that report. I know she does that because I asked her if she would start publishing that for y'all,
Okay.
but I had never sat down and looked at it. And I need to.
I'm noticing, Peter just pointed out, on our sales use received, we're missing December, but some of these numbers are smaller than what they're supposed to be.
We won't
So,
get December's money until January.
Yeah, December's won't be reported till
December's numbers
now.
will show up on January's budget.
We won't know December's totals until tomorrow, till this month.
Okay.
Carol brought it to my attention one day, because I was looking last night, and like I said, she's the one that handles the revenue.
Okay.
And I will be checking in on it.
I'm going to be a little confused on approving this financial from what I'm looking at here because I can't decipher this. Moving on to page 2 of 15 on the financials. And this is something that I am aware of, but could we explain this to the public in general? How we moved $4,569 out of our welcome center expense. And I know this was something that was an issue in the office, but can we explain how we did that?
Are you talking about for December?
Yes.
We move it out for the year because it's donation money, and we carry it over to the new year. So
Okay.
we write a check at the end of December for Welcome Center and Animal Control, all the donation money we get, and then we redeposit it back into the account on the 1st of January. So
And we do this for what reason?
because I was told they do it that way every year.
We do this so it does not get swept into the general fund. These were
Right.
donations
Yeah,
and they're
that's what-
specific for that.
Otherwise it goes in the general fund.
Okay, it's very questionable looking at this. The only reason why I'm bringing this up, so you can explain it in public. If we go to page 3 of 15, I'm just looking at our fuel cost here, and if you looked at what we spent last year, it was $3,888.21. I know that Mr. Martin's got some issues with how we're spending money. We only budgeted $3,000 for 2023. This is something that we might want to take a look at as we're going through and get a line item adjustment before we get to the end of the year and we have questions. If we spent that last year, then we know we're going to spend more than what we've already budgeted for this year. I'd like to make this statement. There's a lot of people in the room that haven't been here before and probably going to be tired of listening to my voice. We create a budget as a blueprint to get us through the year. Sometimes we take a detour, sometimes we hit a rest stop. I mean, we make changes, but we will let the public know as we're making these changes that we're taking something from somewhere else to supply that fund. But if we're looking at this at the beginning of the year, it's something we might want to adjust right now. And on our utilities for our, on 3 of 15, very bottom line, we spent $9,163 on a $7,500 budget. This year, we've only budgeted $7,000 for that. We definitely need to take a look at that. We know we're gonna overspend that. Moving on, 5 of 15. Again, we've got, on the repair and maintenance to the buildings, there's a $14,000 expenditure there, and then there was already $7,900 that was expended for the year. But then we dropped this down to a $2,034 expenditure per year. How did we do that?
I can answer for that one. That was, hail damage on the fire department. We had, and I done the same on it because the job was done in December and we didn't get to pay the bill yet. So we took the fire department's insurance money out and carried it over to this year so we could pay that bill. But that's, most of that $14,000 that we received in was insurance money.
Okay.
Let me ask a question, if you don't mind the interruption for a moment, Mr. Smith. I'd like to ask, since you're raising all these issues, for the fire chief, specifically, Mr. Dents, did we not discuss this specific item in the budget preparation process? That we were going to be over on this as we were building the 2023 budget?
Correct.
If I just thought my memory, with multiple budget meetings, which Mr. Smith sat in on, those budget meetings, that we had previously discussed that specific issue. Now I'd have to go back to my notes as to some of the other issues Mr. Smith is raising this evening. But on that one in particular, I do believe that you discussed this with the budget committee and discussed the appropriateness of what is allocated for the 2023 budget. And that was discussed at least once, if not twice, during the budget committee process. Is that not true?
Correct.
Okay, so Mr. Smith, to your point, I understand you have some concerns, but I believe, at least on this point, and again, I'll have to go back to my notes from the budget committee meetings, but I believe that any time that there was a significant alteration in the planning process for this current year, and we had some overage, that was fully explained by a department head in that budget process. And I appreciate you allowing me that interruption. But I felt that on that particular issue, it needed clarification, since we're taking time from the meeting here to discuss these particular issues.
Mr. Thompson?
Thank you.
There wasn't a person in this room that was in those budget meetings, and that's why I'm asking these questions. Okay, moving on to 10 of 15. We've got the same issue here on our fuel expense. Last year we budgeted $4,500. We spent $6,083. This year we've only budgeted $6,000. Could we get someone to take a look at that and get a line item adjustment before we go over that budget amount? And on that page, I am thoroughly confused on the current month of December. What happened here? I can't figure out what we did for, I can't figure out what we did for anything. The December number and the year-end numbers are all the same.
I don't know what you're asking about.
This is on our planning and zoning page on 10 of 15. If you look at the current period of January,
I can figure it now because the current period is for January to December. That's not for the month, that's for the whole year.
so what was my actual payroll for the month of December for my planning and zoning department?
You have the one for just the month of December. That one up there, it shows for January to December. I'll have to go forward right here. That one don't need that. Oh, yeah, salaries for the month of December, $6,270.38.
Okay, the figures that I'm looking at are just duplicates from one column to the other. Are we all seeing the same thing?
They realized that that was incorrect sometime today, and Misty redid it and typed it and put it in the packet that you received on your desk. So there should be a corrected copy.
For planning and zoning?
Pardon?
For planning and zoning?
Yes.
Okay, so that,
Look at that.
okay. What I'm about here is the salaries are like 134. I don't know where that happened.
I only see street frontage. No, all I see is street frontage, I don't see a planning and zoning one. I've not noticed it's street frontage.
It's stifled to look.
This is what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, it's got January, December. Where's your packet?
Right here, here's the packet.
That's- She ain't got it in there. But she stuck it in there with the planning and zoning.
Dan,
Huh, it ain't in there.
I've got
Angela's making copies of that.
You got it? It's not on yours.
No, this was mine.
That is yours, but it ain't in there. Is this?
It was laying on top because my packets were together.
I'll get you some.
Okay.
Deanna, I have a question. Are you and Misty cross-trained on these duties?
Kinda. She's the one that trained me, kind of in my job. And I'm hard, hers, so when she's asked, then I can go to her.
Is there a way from now on where, like, when these get done, you guys can double check, kind of cross-check each other?
Yes.
Okay, so,
This was,
And then Kenny, I'll ask you one thing.
Oh, Mr.
When
Richard.
will these be corrected online?
I got it.
thank you.
Due to the fact that we were at conference, so Dan and I were both on, and some of these were starting to be found. I had talked to the mayor, and after the council meeting on Monday, I will rescan the correct package and put it in the website as amended, so that we have everything that is supposed to be there as correct.
Could we put a message on the city Facebook page, just letting anyone know, so that way if they go to look at the budget, there's no mass confusion?
Yes.
So they'll be corrected at that date.
That was what we're planning on doing because of everything that we found and reports that came in late and perfect.
and,
Are we getting satisfied so we can move on?
yeah, I mean, I still haven't had a chance to look at what the street department's expenses were for, and that's in a packet somewhere, I guess, the street department.
Yeah.
It may move.
As long as he's looking at that, I had a couple of questions. And let me reiterate, this does not reflect on the current administration. This is
This is all.
cleaning
last year.
up last year's stuff. When we budget, we passed the budget December of last year, correct? Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
And the city council has to pass a budget to have a working thing that the city goes off of, correct?
Certainly.
Okay, and every time there's an alteration to that budget, as far as an expenditure is concerned, the city council approves it, correct?
Yes, it's brought before council in hopefully a timely manner, but certainly as during the December meeting, I believe Mayor Stokes, but I may or may not be correct, but, we definitely bring forward to council you know,
But
if there are
council approves
specific.
before things are expended, correct? Council has to, if you have a budget, you cannot spend anything over that budget unless council approves, or an emergency. I'll add emergency to it. So it has to come in front of council before it gets expended, so council can adjust what they need to adjust. That's my question, I'm confused there.
So in the past, you know,
No, that's just so what the law states. What's
Peter,
my thing?
don't go, you know,
Okay.
don't go into the law, because then without,
Well,
you would address
okay.
those questions to the city attorney.
Okay,
If
city
you want to ask
attorney.
me budget questions, I'll
But
gladly
That's
respond
where I'm
to it.
confused, and I'm trying to get an
Well,
answer.
don't try to mix, you know,
Okay,
don't
okay.
try to
In your
mix
interpretation,
statements of
how about
law.
in your interpretation.
Let's stay on subject. Stay on
here.
subject.
Okay, your interpretation, is that how we're supposed to proceed?
My interpretation of what?
Of budget? Nothing gets, we set an original budget amount, and if something major goes over that budget amount, it should be coming in front of the city council before any of that money gets spent, correct?
My understanding is
If
each
it's in a
department
purchase
has a
above,
budget.
if
But
it's a
if-
purchase above a certain money amount, it has to be appropriated. If it's
Okay.
already budgeted, it's
So
appropriated.
that's your understanding of it?
The way, yes, the way I understand, like, you're talking about the budgets and what I've heard going around the office this week, is that you're concerned in the overages in the specific line items that are in the budget, in the total budget.
Correct.
So the line items can go over or under, it depends. You're
Okay.
putting out these numbers and you're saying, we hope we're gonna stay, but maybe not.
So-
As long as you don't go over the major
okay,
T,
so-
the major
And
total.
there have been times when there were significant overages on a particular line item, and the department head,
And that,
you know, brought forward, and I do recall multiple times in the past with the street and road department, where at that point, Mr. Kylo brought forward to council for voting on and approving,
I
moving,
remember that too, yeah.
you know, where he
Yeah, move it around
underspent on
different
one
line items.
category and overspent on another category because of operational issues, you know, so.
and that's where we're gonna
so
get
you
into new
You do
business.
have specific line items, to your point.
Okay.
And it's a point well raised.
Yeah.
You do have specific line items within a budget, but you also have an overall budget.
Correct.
Now, there's times in the general operation that we're, you know, giving some latitude to department heads that they're gonna move forward, and if something goes over, like in the case last year with the fire department, we had some insurance claims, we had some repairs and so forth, and we have to go back and document that, and it is discussed in the budget meetings, which are open to the public for all budget meetings. But, you know, there are times when the department head then has to come in because it's a significant enough amount that they have to bring forward a proposal to allocate from one line item over to another.
Okay,
To
I understand
to
that.
balance out their line item.
I
And that's the
understand.
cleanup that Mayor Stokes was referring to in a prior city council meeting.
So here's my question, sorry folks. The question is, I was showed by the treasurer that on the lower right-hand corner of the expense sheet for every department, let's start with administration, it tells me that it's out of budget by $30,178.89. It tells me animal control is out of budget by $21,064.82. Building and grounds is out of budget by $1,952.59. Fire is out of budget by $11,834.08. Now this is total budget for the year. This isn't just a 1 month, but this is what it's out of. Planning and zoning.
For the year 2022.
Correct, it has nothing to do with your administration. Planning and zoning is out $23,884.90, and streets is out $16,500, which is confusing to me because I thought at the last meeting, we approved them to take it out of the ARPA money. So.
Not for 22, for 23.
Oh, okay, then for 22, it's over 16,000. So adding that all up, there was $105,415.97 that was spent that the council never approved to be spent? Or was the council, not a budget committee meeting, because I am under the impression that the council is responsible for the money. And how can somebody be responsible for the money if an emergency meeting wasn't called or something wasn't done to get it back in the line? And then with the budget cleanup that we have there, it's so confusing what's coming in as revenue, what's coming in as expense.
So let me
that I
help,
was
so let me
slowly
help you hopefully clarify the picture. And that
Thank you.
is going back to 2021, the lawsuit settlement, we enacted measures to reduce expenditures because we were going to be without any revenues from SID for the last 4 months of 2021. And therefore, we actually planned and approved a budget where we were deficit spending, and I'd have to go see how that line item worked through the actual process.
Okay.
But we approved a budget in December of 2021, recognizing the fact that there were going to be a shortfall of revenues to cover expenses. Therefore, deficit spending, which is what prompted this council and the budget committee and the former mayor to put it on the agenda to pursue, I believe in last spring, if I'm correct, to go to the community and ask for an increase in sales tax.
Correct, I remember.
Now, how those numbers work their way through in terms of the actual, looking at actual, because in some respects, and I believe the shortfall that we budgeted was somewhere to the tune of between 225 and 250. Those shortfalls were offset in some part, and we may have to call on Mr. Hinch to detail some of that, but we had an increase in sales tax revenues that were not budgeted for, not planned. So to get back and tie back to precise numbers, perhaps we need to defer back to when we get the actual numbers, which I believe is tomorrow, on some receipts that
That'll
were
close
due
out
for,
22.
that applied to 2022, and to be able to look back and look at the actuals, because transitioning at the end of the year, sometimes timing of receipts is a little bit difficult to match up because some of the receipts that were due are not received until
Right.
in the
County
month
does
of
the same thing,
January.
right, yeah.
Understood.
Okay.
So to reconcile all of that, and I understand you have some confusion on it, and that's understandable because we budgeted for an amount that we knew was going to be a shortfall against revenues that came in above expectations. Now, if you want to ask for some additional explanation, perhaps Mr. Hinch, who runs a lot of Excel spreadsheets and so forth to assist the budget committee, he might be able to comment as to some of that, or he may want to have some time to review with the treasurer what some of those pluses and minuses were in that process.
Okay.
We ready to move on yet?
Well, my question still is partially explained, but does the city council, yes or no, approve of any overages of the original budget number that we go over? Because, like I said, and it's all happened in the last month. It all happened in the month of December.
And the answer to your question is, when we approved the budget in December of 21 for 22, we did so knowing, and it was pointed out to council, knowing that we had a shortfall in excess in the budget of over $200,000, thus the need for a sales tax increase. So we knew that we were going to have to pull from reserves to make up the shortage
Okay,
that we had.
okay.
Now, how that plays out with how revenues come in, whether they're 833 funds, whether they're ARPA funds, whether they're sales tax revenue, whether they're property tax revenue, and how they flow through to offset some of those shortages, I'd have to go back and look at specifics now that we have at least about 99% of the actuals received. But that's an exercise that I would defer to the treasurer, the current mayor, the budget committee, and if you would like to sit in on that open meeting, gladly, welcome you.
Here it is. Tonight, you're going to ask the council to approve the financials. And on tonight's financials, from what the treasurer had showed me, as far as money that was spent in December, we're $105,415.97 over the budget we made in November of 2021 for 2022's year. So, my question is, we're over, but nobody says, council, we need money. And I asked, I think in July, when are we going to redo our budget? When are we going to reacclimate our budget? No, we don't do it till the end of the year.
Mr. Martin, Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir.
I think I kind of understand what you're
May I walk over here and show you?
no, hold on. You
Okay.
got it. You're looking at the $107,000 in the deficit spending, right? Is what you're looking at. The numbers in parentheses that I heard you tell about
Correct,
today.
yes, number in parentheses, yes.
Which, like Mr. Thompson has said, we budgeted, I wasn't involved in it.
Right.
The council budgeted that, I'm just gonna pull a number. You budgeted, we're gonna make $1 million, or spend $1 million.
Right,
Well, we're only gonna bring in 900,000. That's where that number's coming from. You pass the budget, it says we're gonna spend X amount of dollars, but we only brought in this much, which is under what was budgeted to be spent. So that's why it's called a deficit budget.
but help me out.
I'll try to.
And it's only the month of December, it's not the rest of the year, because I thought this was going on the whole year.
Well, it's a cumulative
But-
throughout
but
the year.
If you go
We
back.
didn't overspend $100,000 in December, right?
Yes, we did. And the reason I say this is you go back the month before and it was like only $9,000. You go back the month before and everything's good. So in the month of December, this $105,415.97 appeared. And I'm going, well, why wasn't the council said, hey, we need to adjust the budget to make this correction for this $105,000. And my whole question is, why did the council not get told to do this?
May I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we have Mr. Hinch come up and at least offer a comment or two in response to the fact that Mr. Martin is claiming
that would be up
all
to
of
him.
this happens in the month of December, and I don't,
It's a cumulative throughout the year.
I do believe that you're
was
talking about
reconciled
a
in
cumulative.
December.
Now, maybe some adjustments were made by the front office in terms of what was in the budget, because we ran into some of those issues when we were trying to plan the 2023 budget, that 2022 budget numbers were being changed. And that was a difficult time for the budget committee
Okay.
because budget numbers were being changed for 2022. So I don't know what all the reconciliation of that was or wasn't. But I defer to the mayor.
Okay,
Would it
sure.
make sense to have a couple of comments or
Sure.
observations from a member of the budget committee that runs the spreadsheets?
Sure, I would invite that.
If Mr. Hinch is prepared,
That'd be fine, but you can talk about expenses, but you need to talk about revenues as well, because some of those revenues are non-reoccurring.
That I understand.
Insurance, and then you have the expenses to the insurance.
Okay.
You have to replace a roof or something of that nature. Insurance gives us money, then it ends up being. an
Hey, Paul, could
expense.
you come,
So those were all
Paul, could you come up
non-reoccurring
here
expenses.
and talk into the mic? We're recording this and the recording's not gonna pick you up back there. Can you come up here and talk into the mic for us?
Well, my confusion is, and this is what the treasurer shows me, and this is, I understand your expenses and income, and that all seems to be in line, but There was a budget we passed in 2021 for the year of 2022. And in all the reports, all the numbers for that line item going through here, annual budget, has always stayed the same, never been changed. And then there's a line next to it that says annual budget variance. Now, some of those budget variances have little brackets around it, and I'm told that's a number in the red. The budgets that don't have the little brackets are the numbers that are in the black, such as the police department budget. That was in the black. But I have the administration budget is in the red. The animal control budget is in the red. Buildings and grounds is slightly in the red. Planning and zoning is in the red. And street is in the red. Now, the other numbers all make sense. I understand that. My question is, as a person that's responsible for the budget, shouldn't the whole council have been made aware of this prior to this money being pulled out and spent? Because we are the ones responsible for it. And that might be a question for another meeting, but that's where I am confused. And this, if you go back and look at other finance things, you can take and see that those brackets don't appear 2 months ago. So in October, they don't appear. There's two of them that appear in November, and then everything's just started appearing in December. So it's not that the revenue and the expenses are screwed up, it's what was budgeted, it was never changed. And it's telling me here that $105,000 was spent without council's permission, without council being able to say, yeah, you can spend it or no, or maybe we got to increase it, maybe we got to pull money out of a different fund. That's where my question is. Not that the numbers, the income and that, because you have it in the first part of the budget, and that all makes sense. I understand that. But the last line in here that says annual budget, January through December, and then annual budget variance, it shows me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 departments are in the red. So that means something got spent without the council's approval. And that's where I'm confused. Is the council supposed to approve all this? And if they're not, then why the heck are we even making a budget?
Well, and we can go back and forth on this. What I think needs to be done is some type of a reconciliation to determine yes or no, were budget numbers altered from the approved budget? Because I don't have the approved budget in front of me that we put forward in December of '21.
Actually, I have it, but,
Okay.
and you can't find it
And
online.
I
either.
haven't done a reconciliation or a comparison, but
Okay.
I don't know that we're going to resolve this in a council meeting. I understand you have some questions that need to be addressed. I would suggest that we might want to call a special meeting of the treasurer after the treasurer has an opportunity to review and compare the budget that we approved as council to the numbers that are showing up now as approved budget numbers, and make sure that first they match
Yeah,
as step one.
so
And then as
tabling
step
this would
two,
be
then
okay?
to go back through, and that's up to whatever, the mayor wants to do with that. But I think that your questions can be addressed, but I don't know that we're going to answer all of them in a council meeting.
Understood. So, right now, I'm confused, so I would not vote for passing the expenditures that were in front of it, just because I don't know what our responsibility is supposed to be as far as budget. Because I'm confused by seeing that we're over and we weren't brought into it. It was spent and we didn't have any say in it. Now,
Peter, let me make a motion that
Okay.
we table this until our next meeting.
I second
And
that.
then can we please get someone to set a date for our special meeting? Because I do feel like that is what we need to do.
Thank
Let's
you.
get that set, and
Absolutely.
then let's table this, and we can do each one at a time.
sorry I took so long. Just,
Ms. Rowland makes a motion that we table the financials until the next scheduled meeting or
Open council meeting, next.
next
Wednesday.
scheduled open council meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tatum seconds. You want to do roll call?
Tatum,
Yes.
Heflin,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes,
Rowland.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
And then my second thing would be, can we set a date for the special meeting? Get it set now. Anybody got a suggestion of when we want to have it?
do we want to do it in January or February?
It need to be in February.
How long would you need, Mr. Treasurer?
Because those numbers have to be reaffirmed, correct?
Yes.
Do what?
A week, week and a half.
February 2nd.
Either one. February 2nd or February 6th?
One's a Monday, one's a Tuesday. In the evening or during the day?
No, a Thursday. February 2nd is Thursday and
Right,
February,
and the other one's a Monday.
February 6th.
Yeah.
We'll do it on February 6th, Monday at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
There'll be a special meeting on February 6th at 6 p.m.
I have a question on a check. I
Okay.
know we're gonna skip over this, but the treasurer on, and the budget committee may know what this is. It's kind of stumping me. One of the checks, 10670, and there was two more to a Modern Woodsman of America.
That's insurance that's employees pay.
Okay.
That's payroll.
It seemed a weird name. I was like, that don't seem right.
Payroll deduction.
This is yours.
That's yours.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Mr. Mayor, you need to go back and approve the minutes.
Oh, I didn't see that on there. That got skipped over, didn't it? I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Martin moved to approve the minutes and Mr. Smith seconds. We got a voice vote?
Rowland,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Heflin,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay.
So how are we gonna do it?
Alrighty. Well, after 40 minutes spent on that, where are we?
Your report.
Mayor's report, okay. I'm gonna give you the abbreviated because I don't want to take any more time. And now you understand where my first line comes from, saying my my first 19 days has been a whirlwind. I had the opportunity to attend the swearing-in ceremony at the Ash Flat Courthouse, which was very nice. I've had met with Roy Eckel and Karen Page about the RDOT grant funding for the Tohai Trail extension. I believe we're still on, it's still in motion, still on go. Joey give it to the street department superintendent, and they're going to get moving on that as soon as weather permits. We've been going over budget reconciliations. I mean, seems like the big item right now. It did take me a couple days when I come into office to get the computer set back up because all my the email addresses had been purged from the computer. So that took a couple days to get that recovered. Worked with the fire chief, got the Act 833 paperwork signed and returned back to the state so we can get our Act 833 funding. We've had several meetings with department heads. I've had several meetings with department heads to see what their issues are and what they need and what their wants might be that we can work on. One thing I have done since money is a big topic, I've been talked with the treasurer, and we've been on corresponding with the Fidelity, because it was my understanding that the city already has Fidelity internet in the building, and we have a different telephone provider. So I've been working with her, and we're going to get a quote. Didn't you?
I think we're coming out to talk to us.
This next Wednesday, they're going to come out and talk to us about switching the telephone service over to Fidelity, which, if I'm hoping that it's going to, I believe that it's going to save the city a lot of money just in combining the phone bill and the internet together. So we'll be coming to you with that. Myself, the city clerk, and the treasurer attended the municipal league conference, the winter conference in Little Rock, which was very, very eye-opening. We got some, the materials that you see that we give you, that's what we got from them to bring back. Another thing that we had talked about is after I come into office, I'd realized that the council members and the mayor's office was using personal emails for city business, which the municipal league kind of discourages. So I know you had got information about setting up a city email, and that just makes it more transparent and FOIA easier for FOIA. So you don't have to use your personal emails for city business. They should have been emailed to you. You should have the information on them, and you need to get back with Miss Penny, the clerk, about getting everything finished up. They told me to announce the year's calendar, the holidays that the city is going to observe, about the state. We go by the state set holidays, which is New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. It says here George Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, and the day after, the Friday after Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. The one we had a little confusion is that it's Juneteenth is listed in one but not the other. But I know several of the other cities that recognize it, so I think we need. I believe the city needs to recognize that as a holiday. And that's about all I got on the mayor's report. So we're moving on to department reports.
Mayor, if you would let me, unless anybody in council wants to talk to a department head, may I make the motion that we accept the reports as submitted?
I've got a quick question for you to do that.
Okay?
On the animal control report, it says that we adopted out 5 dogs and 2 cats, yet on the adoption fees, we've only got $25.
I was just going to start.
It's a typo. Okay. So that's a report we don't need to accept until it's corrected. Do you know what the correct number is?
Then I'll make the motion that we accept all the reports with corrections. Because they'll be putting that number in, and then it's going to be reposted on the web because of the budget stuff too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I would second that.
So a motion made by Mr. Martin to accept the department reports as corrected, and seconded by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, say nay. Passes. We on to other reports. The A&P, Mr. Smith, you have anything to add to the A&P?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Alrighty. I need a motion to accept the other reports.
I make a motion we accept the other reports as submitted.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Martin to accept the other reports as submitted, seconded by Mr. Tatum. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, like sign. Motion passes. So we have one item to bring up under old business. It's the mayor and clerk's salary, which is a continuation from the last month. And if it's changed, the budget will have to be amended. During discussion.
Not personally, I think the salary is set way too low. Especially for the amount of hours I put in, the work Penny does, the work the mayor does. I think it's extremely low. I don't think we could settle it at the council tonight personally, but I think it's something we need to look at. going forward. Because we're not gonna get people to stand up for, do Penny's job for, it's peanuts.
No.
Consider how many hours she actually puts in. And how many hours the mayor puts in. That's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job.
Okay.
I know we're trying to cut money, but we have got to pay people to retain them,
Well,
to getting people in.
I would make a motion that we accept the salaries as is for, let's say, 2 months. And then in 2 months' time, when they have get their feet on the ground and everything, we see what the budget is, see if we can do it. And
Here's
then
my
go
motion.
ahead with a amount that we can afford.
I think we need to do, we're gonna have a financial meeting and go over the finances. I think that would be a good thing, and I think we need to have the budget committee tell us how much we can actually afford to pay these people.
I would agree with Councilman Tatum because I cannot, in operation of my business, go out and hire somebody below minimum wage. And that's what the stage was set by what was adopted by council last year. And if you had, the excuse was at the time, or at least one of the comments at the time was, well, we may end up with a part-time mayor. And that is not the reality. If I can't legally go hire somebody for my business and pay them less than minimum wage, then as a council member, I don't believe that it is reasonable to expect city council or to reimburse a city to reimburse a mayor or a clerk for less than minimum wage. And that was the discussion when it was proposed, part of the discussion when it was proposed last year. And, delaying it for a couple of months, I would agree with Mr. Tatum. Let's get together with the special call meeting. We're going to go over reconciling the budget to what was presented this evening. We're going to try to reconcile whatever additional revenues or expenses and so forth. So I agree with Mr. Tatum. I think it would be an appropriate time to adjust at a minimum of raising both positions up to a level of state mandated minimum wage.
So
at
you're
a minimum.
seconding Mr. Tatum's?
And that would be retroactive,
Okay.
because we're gonna be a month into it, right? So they get, starting from the first of the year. instead of-
I'm seconding Mr. Tatum's motion, yes.
Got a second?
In answer to Mr. Smith.
I do have one question before we go on to that. Penny, how many hours a week do you actually work? So I know going to this next meeting, how many hours a week do you actually work?
I'm supposed to work 21 hours a week. I keep track of my, I keep track of my hours on a weekly basis. And as of last year, and doing it, even taking off actually 2 extra weeks, I worked almost 90 hours over what I was supposed to work. Right now, because of being at a conference and trying to get this and stuff ready, between the last 2 weeks, I'm pushing 80 to 90 hours.
I just wanted to hear that
Yeah.
before, ahead of time, so we.
And one thing I
Now, when
would,
we set that agenda for the special meeting, that will be, they'll have to go on there separately.
No, because it's still all under budget, correct? The topic for the second meeting is rectifying the budget, correct?
Rectifying the budget, but this is separate.
I think we can move this a lot
because
faster if we
Hey.
can say there's 2 line items here that we're going to be
do
discussing.
we have a motion on the floor that we need to
Yeah.
clear
I mean,
up.
the motion that we've got right now, Pam, is just.
Yeah, the
basically
motion, we got a
we're gonna
motion
add
on
that
the
to
floor.
Yeah, I just made the motion that we
Yeah, special
delay it
meeting
until
was on top.
our financial
We
meeting.
just
in
need to
February.
vote.
No, you can't.
If you vote on it, yes, you can, sir.
Help me here.
Who seconded the motion?
It was Mr. Tatum and
Steve Thompson. The
Mr. Thompson.
the motion was to, what was the motion to,
To move that item till the February financial meeting. That way we have time for the budget committee
okay.
and for us to be able to tell us how much we can actually afford to pay them. I think that's more than reasonable.
Have a
Is
motion.
a month enough for you guys?
Yeah. Have a motion to move that agenda item, the mayor and clerk's salary, to the regular February meeting.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor,
the
clarification
specialized
on the
meeting.
motion, I thought we were going to address it in the special meeting.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Not,
That's
not
what the
address it
motion
in,
okay.
was.
Yeah, the
To address it
special
in the special meeting.
Special
Okay,
meeting.
so the
Yeah,
motion
not-
is to,
not February meeting, but the
To-
special meeting.
Yes.
okay, to move the mayor and clerk salary agenda item to the special February meeting.
Yes. Not the.
And it was seconded by Mr. Thompson.
Oh, gotcha.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Noes, like sign. Motion passes. So now we're on to new business. And the new business before us is, the number one is council protocols for 2023. And where this came from is there was a 2015 resolution that had been reaffirmed year after year, and in talking with the city clerk and the treasurer and others, that there was some of the stuff in there that wasn't really being followed like it is in the resolution. So we talked with the Municipal League and Mr. John Abel, the city attorney, and they said it not necessarily have to be a resolution, it just has to be a protocol that is voted on by the city council. So that's where this council protocol has come from. Basically outlines the same thing as what the resolution did, but it's more in line with what we do now.
I make a motion to put it on the floor for discussion.
Okay,
Make a motion to accept it as written.
I have
There's already a motion on the floor.
I have a motion by Mr. Martin to put it on the floor for discussion.
Correct.
I'll second it, it's here.
Seconded by Mr. Heffley. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The noes, like sign.
No.
Mr. Thompson,
No.
Mr. Tatum said no. Is that a pass or a fail?
Passed.
Okay, passed by simple majority. So what are we going to discuss?
My only problem with this is number 5. City Council of the City of Cherokee Village adopts a procedure on that any ordinance and or resolution adopted by the city shall not be reintroduced for a period of 180 days. I believe that is archaic, and I believe that stops the ability for the council to do their job properly. It's something that the previous mayor put in, so he wouldn't have to have somebody object to something if there weren't enough people here to have a proper meeting. So, for instance, if we have a meeting, there's just enough for a quorum, and then the mayor comes in and takes a vote, it would pass. But if we get the rest of the city council back in here, the other half of the city council back in here, and they can swing it or change it, then we're losing that ability to do that. And it was done to block things rather than to be for the citizens of Cherokee Village. It does the citizens no good to do that. And if that were removed, I'd be happy with everything that you did.
Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Martin is making statements that as to the purpose of this ordinance that was, or this procedure,
Resolution.
the procedure or resolution that was previously adopted, and I believe he's incorrect in his recall of the reasoning for that. First of all, ordinances are developed over time. Usually an ordinance is going to be developed with approval of the city and consultation of the city attorney. Also, most ordinances are read over 3 meetings once they are developed. So this idea that it is a last minute dodge or whatever is being implied here is just improper. I mean, that's incorrect. And it was put in place so that we wouldn't beat the same issue to death for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. We would develop an ordinance, we would bring it to a vote. It would be read in 3 separate meetings. So there's 3 months of preparation once the ordinance is developed and it's been approved in the first reading. Under certain circumstances, there are procedures for if there is a need to have that ordinance implemented immediately, to have it read in one meeting. It's not very often that we do that, but we have done that from time to time. This ordinance is specifically designed not to prevent a voice from any member of the public. It is designed not to plow the same ground repeatedly over month after month after month, and dragging it back in once there's been a proper preparation of an ordinance. It's been brought forward and reviewed by the city attorney, and it's been duly voted on 3 times by the council. So I believe it's important for the smooth procedures to go forward. I would encourage council members to include it in the council protocols.
In the 18 years that I've been observing the city council meeting, there's many a times where they pushed an ordinance through at 3 readings at the same meeting. Maybe if we put an exception for that in here, then I might be able to go along with it. But this is specifically made for when you can get enough people to vote your way and the rest of the council, because that's when I saw it enacted. And you can get the rest of the council here, you get your vote, then they don't have any input on it. And also, anybody that objects to a ordinance is the only person that I understand that can bring it back up. So it would have to be the people that weren't here, because they'd be the only ones that can object to it, not the people that voted.
No, that's incorrect. If I voted for an ordinance and I decided to change my vote, then I can reintroduce that, because I'm changing my vote from a yay to a nay.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, so clarification on that.
That would be the issue
But-
that I've always had with that rule. If you're on the prevailing side, you can bring it back up. But if you were on the objection side, you can't.
No,
I don't,
well,
I don't know.
It's just a protocol too, so you could get the council to change it by
Doesn't matter what side.
it doesn't matter what side you're on. If the majority voted against an ordinance,
Now, the
and
way
a
we
person that
practiced that in
voted-
the past was only the prevailing side could bring it back up. That is the way we practice that. There are examples within the last 2 years
So
that has happened.
Whoever it was can bring it back up, just if they've got.
Because this was a rule that I was against from the beginning. So, and Peter is right, most of the time, more times than not, we do suspend the 3 reading rule. So I know that was part of one of your points. So my only objection would be, I mean, I agree with Peter, I've never liked the rule. I believe council should be able to bring up what they see fit. But, so Peter, if you want to make a motion?
You'll make a motion to pass it with the exception of number 5.
That's it, yeah.
I'll
work?
second that. And then if it
Is that
passes,
that good,
yes.
Mr. Attorney? Is it Mr. Martin made the motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Martin made the motion to pass the council protocols for 2023 with the exception of
Number 5.
paragraph 5, seconded by Ms. Rowland. We need to do a roll call vote.
Martin,
Yes.
Rowland,
Yes.
Tatum,
No.
Heffley,
Yes.
Ishmael,
No.
Thompson,
no.
Smith,
Yes.
4-3.
Mr. Mayor, you need 5 votes to pass that, so you can vote it to pass it if you want. If you don't vote, it doesn't pass.
Okay, I didn't know.
And then we're stuck at an impasse.
I couldn't hear.
No, it doesn't pass. It's
Seen American.
It has to be 2/3, not a simple majority?
It has to be a majority, and the majority is 5, because there's an 8-member council.
Okay, and you said it was
Now we're short of.
4 to 3.
4-3?
Everything says the same, but the one either.
Yeah. I mean, paragraph 5 doesn't mean, what it means to me when I read it is that whether it passes or fails, and something comes before the council, whether it's a resolution or an ordinance, whether it passes or fails, it just means you can't bring it up for 180 days, whether it passes or fails. And that, like Mr. Thompson was saying, it just keeps you, I mean, honestly, we're in that same deal with what we're going to discuss later in the council with, and that's where I see it. People just keep bringing stuff up. I mean, and that's what it means to me. I don't know about what Ms. Rowland was saying. I wasn't part of the council or mayor when they used it as something to suppress the public. That's not something I would
We
do,
all know where this
suppress.
come from.
Yeah.
From the chicken ordinance.
No, whoa,
It's way
it's
before.
really old.
We're not in.
No, it's way before that. It was in
This is
2015.
an old school tax.
Yeah,
So-
it's very
Other
old.
places. I've seen it
So I'm gonna
around
vote-
Little Rock being used. and
I
it's
will
really
vote
big.
yes to pass it. And if at a later time we need to amend it, because it is protocols and
Right.
it can be amended at a later time.
Correct.
But I'm gonna vote to pass it at this time so we can move on.
But then
But-
it could have sat in there for 180 days, and nobody could do
My
anything.
question though is, the motion was to vote on the protocol with item 5 deleted.
Right.
You didn't ask for a motion to vote on the protocol as written. So if you want to vote on Mr. Martin's motion to approve the protocols minus item 5,
That's the
that's
yes vote.
fine.
But no.
But I would also ask for a motion to vote on the protocols as written.
Well, we have to do,
Well, you
we
gotta
had a motion on
finish
the
one
floor.
before you start on the next.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, and I understand that, but I want to make sure the mayor understands
Okay.
that
I got ahead of
that
myself.
opportunity is there this evening.
Now, your choice is very simple, either to vote yes, accept them without number 5,
Which is
or
Not
not to
Hmm.
vote. And you don't accept anything.
So there's not the option,
Not right now.
This motion has to
Until he
be,
makes a
this motion
decision.
has to be settled.
okay.
Like I said, it don't matter to me one way or another.
You gotta make your decision one way or the other.
No, for the deal. So yes, I vote yes. We'll pass it without the number 5 just to move on. So now we need the election of the item number 2 under new business, election of Mayor Pro Tem.
May I ask the attorney for clarification,
On,
Mayor Pro Tem? Can you define what a Mayor Pro Tem is? Because I'm under the impression there's 2 separate things. There's Mayor Pro Tem, or there's his duly elected, or his duly appointed person that he can appoint. Correct? Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor pro tem is, if the mayor is not here to hold a meeting, he's in charge of the meeting.
so he's only in charge of the meeting?
The other thing
Instead
you're
of the
talking
clerk.
about is when the mayor is out of
Then he,
pocket, then it's either the city clerk or his duly appointed representative takes over his duties.
and his duly appointed representative could be anybody he picks as long as the council approves, correct?
I don't think the city, I don't think the council has any.
Okay, so then that clarifies it for it. So pro tem is only the person that would run the meeting instead of the clerk. Correct?
Instead of anybody.
Well, no,
Anybody,
because
no.
if we don't elect the mayor pro tem, it's the clerk that automatically does it.
No, not to run the meeting. You gotta have a mayor pro tem.
Okay, then it makes sense to me. I understand. Let's proceed whichever way you want to go.
Are we there?
oh, yes.
I motion that Jeff Tatum take the responsibility of Mayor Pro Tem. Any other motions?
Please second it.
Mr. Smith makes a motion that Mr. Jeff Tatum takes the Mayor Pro Tem, and it's seconded by Mr. Heffley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Noes, like sign. Alrighty,
Now,
now
when
we're,
he runs the meeting, he cannot vote, correct?
No, he votes.
He can vote too? That's even
Uh-oh.
better. There you go.
With ceremonial keys.
look at there, you get the ceremonial keys already.
Mercy on your soul.
So the next items on new business is the resolutions to amend the budgets with the reconciliation of different budgets. So we can pass them individually, or group them all together? It'd be totally up to the council.
If we've read these, I would go that we group these
The
all.
stuff that we were talking about with the other stuff. How can we pass this when we're still worried about that last budget? It's the same stuff.
Well, we're moving things from the line items to correct the budgets. And this is
But we
within the
can't-
box.
We can't correct what's in the box if we don't know what the definition of the box is. Because that's what we're having a special meeting for, is to define the box.
No, your special meeting is twofold: to approve the financial statements, number one,
Right.
and to go back and visit the mayor and the clerk's salary. Number two, these resolutions are to authorize, if I understand it correctly, what the treasurer has to do to make the proper adjustments,
To get to line the budget numbers back up.
so that we can go consider these, the budget, the 22 budget, and the final expenditures in the special meeting. We're authorizing them to go ahead and fix what hopefully is, the
Hopefully it will
issues
be
that you
fixed.
brought up this evening.
But then I'm back to the same problem, is we don't know what we approved that $105,000 for, so we can't go ahead with this until we know what that is.
But that's what they gotta fix in order for
So how can we
present to us
approve
for the
this if
special
we
meeting.
don't know what that is?
Because we know this has already occurred, so we just need to move it from one column to another in order to adjust it. The bottom line numbers will not change.
You know, we gotta get 2022 closed out so we can move forward in 2023.
As it shows by $105,000.
If the budget as shown is correct.
But
But
we
we're
don't
telling-
know if it's correct, so how can we approve something if we don't know the base is correct? I'm sorry, you guys do whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm not gonna prolong it anymore.
Yep.
Go ahead and vote.
I mean,
Looking for a motion.
I motion we approve.
Approve all as a lump or individual?
Entire thing at once, yes.
So you're looking at approving resolution, new business item number 3
Yes.
through number 7, isn't it?
I would say three through number 7. I mean, I've spent the weekend with these numbers,
Yeah.
so I've already looked at them.
Okay.
Are we gonna have a discussion after it's seconded?
Yes, we'll have discussion after a second.
I second.
Did I read that right?
So
It is 3 through
Is the
7?
motion to discuss, or is the motion to?
Well, you discuss after.
We gotta make it, you gotta have a motion and a second to get the motion on the floor and then the
That's
discussion.
what I was asking.
Right, that's what they're in the process of.
So
I second.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion.
No.
No.
Rob.
Oh, Rob, Mr.
He
Smith.
moved, he moved.
Yeah.
He seconded.
Yeah, Mr. Smith
That's
makes
on
a
the
motion that we pass the new business items 3 through 7, which are the resolutions to amend the budgets to reconciliation, to line them back up for 2022. And it's seconded by Mr. Ishmael.
And I'm sorry, it's 2023.
Well, the resolution is in
Oh,
2020.
Yeah, the resolution's this year, but the budget's last
Yeah.
year.
So now. it's
So
discussion.
all those in favor? Oh, no, now we have discussion.
Yes.
Ms. Rowland, now we're in discussion.
Yes, I think Mr. Thompson had.
Okay.
And I may be going in reverse, but perhaps the fire chief can address item number 7 and item number 6 at the same time, in terms of, from the fire department. Mr. Dents, you have to reconcile your budget to a, what is your checks and balance in terms of your budget? You know, aren't you accountable to reconcile the 833 funds as well as the general fire funds?
Like 833 to the state of Arkansas in order to be eligible to receive funds for the following year.
Okay, so there is an accountability process to that, correct? Okay. And then, in the budgeting process, the police department as well. I mean, you reconcile your budget proposal with the budget committee, and then, of course, you monitor as you go through the year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And also, Joey, for the road department, similar process for you. Okay, and Charlie, for yours as well. Okay, so there is a process by which you present your budget to the budget committee, it gets approved, and then you track it through the year, and that is your basis as for all the departments. Okay, I just want to make sure that that was on the floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have something to add that may sway you one way or the other. My resolution, the numbers have a discrepancy between that and the actuals that are displayed here tonight, as far as what I amended those to.
There's a discrepancy in the paperwork,
Yeah.
and the discrepancy is,
I amended it to a total budget of 517. The budget tonight is showing 520 on the general fire. So I would suggest at least that one.
amend the motion to accept his,
Still I can, still we can discover what the difference is and correct that.
to accept his, he says there's a discrepancy.
Yeah.
Or amend the motion to
Special
accept
meeting
his
where we can make sure that it's
alteration.
correct.
So I will amend this motion to accept the alteration that's been presented by the fire chief.
Thank you.
We're not talking large amounts.
Yeah, no. So, Mr. Smith votes to, or makes a motion to accept the amended resolutions,
Second.
and Mr. Heffley's seconded.
Quietly, I did, yeah.
Yeah, he hadn't kicked me too hard tonight.
Yeah.
Alrighty, all those in favor?
Aye.
You need a roll call.
Yeah,
Oh, roll call vote. Oh, sorry. You were supposed to kick me on that one.
sorry, I didn't get to it. Right that
Roll
time.
call vote, please, Ms. Clerk.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith and seconded by
Mr. Heffley.
Mr. Heflin. Rowland,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Heflin,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Martin.
Abstain.
Motion passed.
So item number 8 is the proclamation from the Highland School. It's got Highland School on it. It was actually sent to us by the Arkansas School Board Association, whereas it recognizing the month of January is for the school board members. Do I have to read it?
Make a proclamation.
Yeah.
Do I have to read the whole thing?
Yes.
All right. It says, whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society in an ever-changing world, and whereas the local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child, and whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students, and whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system, and whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now, therefore, I, Stephen Rose, do hereby declare my appreciation to the members of the Highland School Board and proclaim January 2023 as a school board recognition month in the month of January. I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of the local school board members and in working with them to mold an educational system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children. Thank you. Now we get to move on to item number 9. Mr. Heffley.
Oh yeah, here we go. I'm gonna try and make this quick for us.
Thank you.
All right, so mine is the new facility lights for City Hall and Sharp County Senior Center building. I only mentioned the Sharp County Senior Center because it's right through that wall next to us. The whole building is one facility, and we're talking about the lights over there. But we have, as you've noticed, some of these lights will dim in and out during our meeting. There is a lot of lights in that part of the building next door to us, and that are completely out, can't be fixed or replaced. It's been an issue since before I started working over there back in August. And anyways, I ended up speaking to Charlie about this, and he said he already received a quote through CCC Security and Electrical, which is the papers I've given the council members to review. Basically, I'm going to be asking you for someone to make a motion, hopefully be able to spend a little bit of money, but it's really to be able to save some money, and I'll get to that in just a moment. The quote here is to replace basically 88, if I'm reading this right, different lights ranging from 8 foot to 4 foot, recessed lightings, and there's also on the second page some emergency lights and exit signs as well. Your total price for cost on the quote is $5,639.48. And if I'm reading this right on the first page, there is a conversion incentive saving $971.52. Does that sound right? Yeah. So basically, if we go with this, you're already saving $1,000 essentially, estimated, out from the door. On the third page, I'm going to read a couple pieces here. Energy consumption. As a deciding factor for many property managers and companies, energy consumption or electricity use can be the difference maker for not only lighting but many other operational technology associated with the building. Skip ahead here on this. Basically, it gives us some wattage usage off a 34 watt T12 fluorescent tubes, the old ones, and then a comparison of a 16 watt T8 equivalent LED tube. Operational wattage is 43 watts, I believe this per month, and versus 16 on the new. And if you look at an annual consumption, it's 24/7 operation off of one bulb. We'll use 376.68 kilowatts an hour versus the new one at only 140. That's a 236.52 kilowatts an hour on an annual 24/7 operation being saved. Now, I'm going to break down kind of an idea of an average of what we're looking at for our 88. But as far as funds, for the funds, you can see page 5 of 15 under general fund, line repair and maintenance buildings, the annual budget, there is a $10,000 budget there available. One area we could pull from for the money. Okay, looking at the 88 that's going to be replaced, if we're going off an average monthly of 376.68 kilowatts an hour monthly, and you times that out by the 88, you're looking at, I think if I did my math all right, 33,147.84. That's an estimate, again, off of 24/7 usage, which we don't do that on all the lights. Now, if you replace that with the new ones on 88, only 140.16 kilowatts an hour, that's only comes out to 12,334.8. So there's a huge difference in power being used. Power, of course, goes back to money being saved. At 11 cents per kilowatt, which is an estimate, how much it costs to run a light, if I was reading that right, the old would spend, let's see, $3,646.27 for the year versus $1,356.75 if you switch to the new, which would save you $2,289.52, which equals about a 41% of the initial investment in the first year, 24/7 running. So it's going to be less than that, but just give you an idea. And that's my rundown. Hopefully we can make a motion to either move this forward today or discuss a little bit further and try to get this going so we can replace these things. I want to make another mention. These lights that aren't working, these lights are flickering. I'm not an expert or an electrician, but I don't like seeing lights flicker in my own home because I don't want to wake up to an emergency. And we already have money issues. I would hate to see, God forbid, in Jesus' name I rebuke it, but a situation happen, people could get hurt. So there is also a serious note to this. As a council members, this is our home, so we need to treat this like we would our own home and change the light bulb out. That's it.
Did you make a motion?
Oh, can I make the motion
Yeah, you
myself?
can.
I'll make a motion that, we look to find the funds for this and get this stuff handled.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Heffley to proceed,
Find the money in the budget.
to find, yeah, to find the money in the budget to replace the current lighting with LED lighting. Seconded by Mr. Martin. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those no, like sign. Motion passes.
All right, thanks very much.
Well,
Amber, I do have a question.
I
I think this company's from Strawberry. Is there anyone local?
So all the questions on that, I'm just a salesman, I'll have to admit. Charlie can probably answer most of these questions for us.
They're about the same price. I mean, everybody that's come through, I mean, some actually didn't show up, but I know that we used to P.E.G in the past, and I mean, from the city, excuse me, they might have been reliable, and I'd rather kind of,
But did we get a quote from a local?
I had one from, I plugged the notes from them, but they were 6 months out if, when we gave them the money to do the job, they were still out that much, and can't wait that long.
Good. Well, I for one, it'd be nice to be able to sit in there with lights that don't hum.
Yeah.
My hearing's already bad enough as it is. Next item is item number 10. Mr. Tatum.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to address this during the executive session.
Don't know if we can.
He can make a motion to go into executive session, and he has to say what he wants to go into executive session for. Yes, it can be done.
Mr. Attorney?
I have no idea what the complaint letter is. That's not generally
Yeah.
something you talk about in an executive session.
Well, it was put in the public record, so,
I don't have.
oh, you don't have a computer in front of you, you can't read it.
So you want to go into executive session at the end?
Yeah, I would think that would be the best approach to this myself.
So what do you want to go into executive session for? You got your Freedom of Information Act, there's 7 things you can go in
Yeah,
there
you
for.
can either go for,
Pick one.
has to be a,
Hiring, firing, disciplinary, you know the rest of them?
hiring, disciplinary,
Appointments?
appointments.
Yeah, we're gonna go in for appointments later.
Demotions. Yeah, I didn't know if you could do 2 executive sessions in the
Yeah, you
same.
can do as many as you want. Nothing stops it.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? We can have as many executive sessions as we want.
As long as you got a good reason to do it.
Well, obviously you don't.
I mean,
But we
I,
can cover 2 items
I don't
in
think
one
we should be.
executive
We
session.
have no idea what you guys
no,
Well, we'll roll with it then.
okay. So you want to rescind your motion?
I'll rescind
Well,
my
I mean,
motion.
it's up to council. I'm just
I don't
giving
know, I
my
just-
Yeah, that's,
I want to address the letter and I myself as a council member with our October and November meeting and the things that transpired, I'm totally shocked.
Address it, go ahead. It's already in public. Do your thing.
I was, but you interrupted me.
I apologize.
we can address it, but we need to stay civil about it. This is a public meeting.
I agree with Mr. Tatum that, it can come under a disciplinary issue if somebody wants a category, but I do agree that it would probably be more appropriate in an executive session. You can put it under disciplinary, if you want to, and then we can take up the appointments as well in the same executive session. Is that not correct, Mr.?
Yeah, if it's a matter of disciplining an employee, yeah, that's appropriate.
Sounds good to
Is a
me.
council member an employee?
Do what?
Once again, I have no idea what the complaint letter is, so I can't answer.
Here, because we do need a legal opinion. So here's the deal. There was a letter sent in from a citizen
I don't have one.
about
I thought I had
Mr.
a letter.
Martin, complaining about Mr. Martin. Mr. Tatum brought it up tonight, wants to take it into executive session.
There was almost a
So
fist
that's
fight
the
in the
question
parking
on the
lot
table.
between a council member
Oh, hold it. We have witnesses that said there was no fist fight in the parking lot because.
We haven't voted on to discuss it in either format yet. If you want to hold off.
But if he's throwing out
If you want to
stuff to
hold
the
off,
public,
Mr. Martin.
I'd rather have it be done in public, personally.
Hey.
Have it done out front. Do it here. Let the man have his say. He's entitled to it.
I didn't mention nobody's name when I
It's
said
on
that.
the
I was
letter. It's
addressing-
up on the website. It doesn't matter. It's out there. It doesn't matter. Ask him. He's the one that wrote the letter. If he wants to get something out of it, let him come up to the podium and tell me what's wrong with me.
Mr. Thompson, you want to make a motion on that?
I would. I'd like to make a motion that we take this up in executive session between members of council and
For discipline.
along with, the appointment issue. So 2 issues to go to executive council.
I'll
That's
second
my
that
motion.
I would second that motion.
But how can we go into executive session for 2 different things? We
The
haven't
city
even-
attorney just said we could.
We can't?
Now, what I said was no records are kept of what you guys talked
Talk
about.
about executive session.
You can't do
There you go.
anything back there. So I would suggest you bring up folks for vacancy and move on.
I'm going to move on to, I'm going to take the attorney's advice and move on to number 11, the council vacancy
Address
seat.
his motion.
Yeah, he's got a second.
Oh,
There's a motion.
you got a motion in a second? Oh,
Well, I don't know if we had a second, but I know we had
Yeah.
a motion.
There was a second.
Mr. Thompson had a motion on the floor
A
to
second.
I second
go into executive session for
for this and.
disciplinary action and
appointment. For nominations for.
And Mr. Smith seconded.
Yes, I did.
All those in favor?
I would like to have a roll call vote on that, please.
Roll call vote?
Huffley,
Yes.
Ishmael,
No.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Martin,
Sure.
Roland,
No.
Tatum,
Yes.
Peter,
five
that,
yeses.
I'm going to vote
that was
again.
voting to go into executive session over
Well, I
the
don't know,
letter
it's only 2.
and the vacancy.
Yeah.
So the council members that voted no are saying that the part about the letter should be held public and the vacancies can go into executive session, just to make that.
Is that what the motion is?
Yes.
Clerk, is that what the motion is?
The motion was to take this letter into executive session.
But she's just saying it's something different.
Because when they put the motion on the floor, it was to
It was
take
talking about
both
2
items
things.
into executive session. For example, my no vote is that the letter does not go into executive session because I do not feel like it falls under.
Then I
freedom of
changed mine to no.
information. There you go.
Let the letter be in public.
I don't think that's correct.
Yeah.
Because it's already in public.
So that changes the vote count to what?
You have to vote now.
That puts the vote back on the mayor because you need 5 and you have 4 to 3.
Simply, you can no vote it or you
Now,
can.
for something
Well-
like this,
I'm-
this is just a motion of what the council's gonna do.
Yeah.
We can go in.
It's just a majority.
Okay, then it passes.
Simple majority.
Yes.
That's what he said.
So
It passes.
we're going to do executive session now, or we want to wait until after the interviews?
We'll do both at the same time.
Okay, so we need to do the interviews.
Recommendations.
Okay. So let's do number 11. We're going to get Miss Quick. How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Has everybody had a chance to read her bio?
Yes.
Alrighty. I had 4 questions that I was going to ask each person, as if we need to take up more time. Said, what prompted you to move to, and how long have you lived in Cherokee Village?
What prompted me to move here was to get closer to what will ultimately be my caretakers.
Mhm.
And after my husband passed away, I thought it was getting time to just move closer, and I've been here almost 3 years.
Okay. Have you ever been elected or appointed to a position?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
not in Cherokee building.
Not in Cherokee, but in prior
Yes, in my prior life.
municipal
yes.
experience? Okay,
How many years?
4.
okay. Said,
I've done council work before.
yes,
I
ma'am.
have.
Thank you.
In Jefferson Parish in Louisiana, yeah.
Thank you. What do you view your responsibilities of council member to be?
We need to operate the city within the confines of the revenues we have.
Hmm.
And we need to provide the best services we can as economically as possible. And I think your primary function right now is you need to seek revenues, and hopefully you can find revenues that will grow as expenses are going to grow in the years to come. I mean, health insurance is going to go up. All of your costs are going to go up. And so you hope that you can find a revenue stream that will keep pace with your increases in expenses.
Okay, thank you. And actually, this, with the council's permission, I might reword this question number 4, and it's a little bit different than what I had. I was going to word it as if appointed to the City Council of Cherokee, are you going to be able and willing to put the time in that it requires to serve?
Yes, I live alone, and I do have the time. I serve on a SID committee, on the Lakes Committee, but due to my allergies and asthma, how much I can do is limited, but at home I can do all kinds of things.
Okay,
You know, I have time for bookwork or that type of thing.
cool, good deal. Council have any questions?
You have an engineering background, correct?
Yes,
And
civil engineering.
And what are your thoughts on long-range planning for the city?
Well, ideally, you would like to have more investment in commercial properties, because that's what's going to help generate the revenue. And you would like a growth of population also, because that will help. Okay, now, I don't know how you're going to grow your population. Generally, I mean, remember, this is a retirement community. And with not having, I mean, we do have urgent care here, but I think it's a real negative not actually having a hospital. Especially for older people. I mean, you're 60 miles from Mountain Home, you're 60 miles from Jonesboro, and you know, in a true emergency, it's a helicopter. It's, you know, that is a negative for a retirement community. However, this is a big recreational area, and we need to take advantage of that, and that may be the ticket to growing population and having more investment into Cherokee Village.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Martin, I can explain between Mr. Thompson's deficit spending why your parentheses showed up.
Why I'm confused. Maybe we should just ask her to go on.
I'm sorry.
No, any other questions?
Yeah, why do you want to serve on the council? I mean, what's your
Well,
purpose?
I'm a big believer in volunteering, and I think when you volunteer, you get more than you're giving. But I've always tried to do things and contribute to the community I live in. And as I say, you know, now I'm far more limited because of health reasons to what I can do and contribute. You know, I can't go out and help clean up the highways because I can't walk that far, and I can't because I can't breathe if I do. So it's changed what I'm able to contribute and how much. But this is something that could be beneficial for all of you. I do have government knowledge. I have experience with streets and in education that kind of goes with a lot of the services you provide here and what it is you do. So.
Okay.
I have one question. You're on the SID commission. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye with the SID. Do you think you can be objective and?
I'm on
She's on a sub
committee.
thing, yeah.
I am not a board member. I am on the Lakes Committee
Right.
because I am a water, quality of water. The quality of the water is important because it determines the health of your lake. And I live on a lake, so.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
That'd be good, Ms. Quick. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for, Mr. Anthony Wilburn. Everybody had time to read his bio too?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, can I say something before you begin? Before we get caught up in all of this, looking over your application, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
You're more than welcome. I'm very proud to do that.
Yes, thank you. And I asked you the same 4 questions. It said, what prompted you to move to, and how long have you lived in the village?
The wife and I, my wife's name is Patty. In 2019, we realized that life in Boise, Idaho was getting a little bit too leftish, I guess, because we could not afford anything. Rent was sky high. There were no properties available for folks like us. We were both licensed massage therapists at the time, making a very good living doing it. However, the fact that everybody and their brother was trying to move north or out of harm's way and into the Boise, Idaho area because it was amenable to what they were used to, I suppose. Pretty much all the properties were gone, and we could not afford to live there any longer. So we decided to look for surrounding areas to see what we could find. And finally, after him and Hanya figuring out that we could not stay in that area without commuting a good 3 hours to make ends meet, we decided to try and look a little bit farther to the east. The wife was not that happy about that right off, but I said, look, if we're going to find something that we can both afford, or we can afford to do, we're going to have to look. So we started looking. And almost immediately, Cherokee Village popped up in our search. And she called me into the room. She said, look at these places. Look at this place here. Look at all the amenities. Look at what's going on here. And I looked and I saw the pricing of the housing and everything. And I said, what's wrong with Cherokee Village? This is impossible. So after much him and hawing, we decided to go ahead and take a trip here. So we took a trip fall of 2019. Started in Oklahoma, came in this way to find areas, and we stopped here. This was the last place. Everybody was, well, it was almost like coming home. And so many times we heard the slice of heaven, or our slice of heaven. And we've come to believe that. So I would say that what sent us here was probably something that was over our heads. Somebody was pushing us this way.
Okay.
And I'm thankful for that every day.
Yeah. And the second question is, have you been elected or appointed to a position as in a municipality or?
No.
Not municipally? Okay. Now question 3, what do you view the responsibilities of a council member to be?
This will be my last hurrah as far as what I'm going to be able to do in life. And I've already decided that I'm going to to do anything and everything I can to make my community the best that it can be. I've done that since I was young.
Okay.
Military, civil service. Everything has been community service for me or civil service, working for.
And then the same question, if appointed to the city council, are you going to be able to dedicate the time necessary that it's going to require? I mean, as you see, and to everybody, as you see, it's not just a regular meeting once a month for a couple hours. It's special meetings and committee meetings. So it's more.
Well, Rob, as Rob can attest here, at one point in time, when I ended up joining the fire department auxiliary, I kept looking at Rob and said, Rob, y'all need to use me for more. I'm ready and raring to go. I want to do more. And Rob said, don't worry, partner. We'll get you there. And I wanted to make this that stab.
Thank you. Any questions from the councils?
Yeah, what do you think about long-term planning?
I think long-term planning is fine as long as you have a consistency as far as income, as far as, I don't think the consistency that we have right now is going to be amenable to that. I think we have to wait until things are a little bit more even keel. That's not something you can just jump into specifically in this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, same question. I'm gonna ask for every one of them. Why do you specifically want to be on this council? You may have answered it in the previous question, but can you really expand on that a little bit more?
That's good. I've been asking myself that same thing. As a matter of fact, sitting right over here and listening to everybody, I was thinking, my goodness, is this really what I wanted to do? Tom Trumpier is, you can do this. 65 years old, and I'm just now figuring out that this is exactly what I need to do. This is, it's life altering, it's life changing. It was not arrived at lightly with everything that's going on and the newfound sense of my responsibilities, not only to my family and to my community, but to myself. I would have considered myself a hypocrite if I had not at least put my
Okay. All right, good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep, thank you. Miss, I guess it would be Brenda. Is it Brenda Harrison? Heather. Heather Harrison, okay. They get the same questions. Question one is what prompted you to move to the village and how long, Cherokee Village, and how long have you lived here?
I have been coming to Cherokee Village all my life to visit family here and to vacation. So I've been to the vacation Bible schools here. I've seen the hustle and bustle of town center. But in the past 5 years, there's been a lot of talk with my family about getting here. I never thought I would. I didn't think I would leave my hometown of Memphis. I didn't think I'd leave my family that's there, my dad and my brother. I had a thriving lawn and landscape business that I owned and operated, but I did. I came here, and a year and a half later, I've thrown myself into this city to build businesses, to clean up properties, to make myself active in what I could here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm self-employed. And that's how I got here.
All right. Excuse me. Have you been elected or appointed to a position in a municipality or any other capacity?
No.
Okay. Said, what do you view, question 3, what do you view the responsibilities of a council member to be?
It's a broad answer for me.
Broad question.
I feel like keeping us on track, the budget's a priority. I understand that we're in a deficit, and I'm all about being proactive to sustain what we have to bring our numbers from the red to the black, learning our financial situation as fast as I can, to study the numbers, study the revenues, study the opportunities that we need to have to fix all that. I also feel like our duties is to not just be in the here and now, but to plan for our future. I think we need to have strategic planning. We need to have long-range planning. We need to work with other people to come up with ideas to see how we can grow our community. The commercial land we have, how can we invest in that? How can we incentivize businesses and investors to come here to us, that Cherokee Village can be their location place? Using the land that we have, west side. I mean, there's so many opportunities. There's so many things that need to be done with council. I could keep going.
And the same question, number 4, is if appointed to the city council, are you going to be able to dedicate the time necessary to serve?
Absolutely. Not a lot of people know me here, but there's some that do and some that I've gotten to know here. I think their interpretation of me is that I'm a hard worker and I'm a woman of my word. I say what I mean what I say. I do the job and I pull my weight. And me committing to this is me saying, I'm in it, I'm going to be committed. I printed off my thing for tonight, my little packet, and I've been studying the numbers best I can. I think as long as, you know, of course I'd love to get an explanation of how we do the numbers here, because everybody's system's
Everybody
different.
does it
I use QuickBooks and, you know, y'all use something else. But, I mean, that's what I believe.
Alrighty, any questions?
Same question. Why do you want to be on this committee?
I would say, you know, I've made my points. There's so many reasons and so many things I want to do. I would say maybe one of the biggest reasons is I want to be proactive in sustaining what I love about Cherokee Village. And I do have visions of, well, let me back up. Me selling my home and my business and moving here was huge for me. I hope and pray that this is my last landing place. I hope that this is my place of retirement, that nothing pulls me away from this place for emergency reasons or whatever. With that being said, I want to be proactive in sustaining Cherokee Village. I see a bustling town center and Papoose Park, and I want to see more businesses out by the Casey's gas station, and I want to see pockets of subdivisions out west and it not be a ghost town out there. What I want is the town that I want it to be 5 years down the road, 10 years, 30, when I'm 80. I want it to be that, and I want to help grow that, and I want to help be a part of the solution to make those things happen.
Thank you.
I'd ask you mine, but you already answered it.
Well, I'm glad.
Alrighty, any other questions? Alrighty. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. The other, Mr. Matthew Myers.
Mr. Mayor, if I could again, before we get started here, I'd like to thank you for your service to the country.
Yes, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Fire away.
Alrighty, as we've been going, the same questions. Question number 1, what prompted you to move to the Cherokee Village, and how long have you lived here?
My wife's family had property down here back when Mr. Cooper was hawking the properties originally. We decided to get out of Illinois back in 2018. It was going in a direction it's not going to sustain, and I wasn't going to sit there and watch it happen. So we talked about coming down here, talked to some friends of ours that was also looking in Tennessee and Kentucky for retirement properties. They couldn't find anything that they liked over in that area, and I said, well, why don't you come down to Cherokee Village with us? They came down next weekend. They came down again, purchased a house, We came down probably 2 months later, purchased a house as well. We've been down here 4 years now. Primary reason for coming down here was retirement, actually. I about had my fill of manufacturing. I've been at it 35 years.
Understandable. Have you been elected or appointed to a position?
Not in a municipality. I did run for school board and served 8 years, two terms up there in a school district. The district itself was probably 4,000, 5,000 people. The student body was relatively small, but we sat right next to a nuclear plant, so there was a great deal of cash revenues coming into that district. When I left there, we were spending almost $9,000 per student. To give you an idea of the budget that district was. So I'm fairly confident I can catch up on municipality money and budgeting that way. And I'm also, I like to look out forward. While I was on the school board, I took over the building and grounds for the district and put together both a 1 year, 5 year, or 1 year, 3 year, and a 5 year plan to keep 3 different buildings going. All the sports, we had a indoor sports arena along with the football field. We had 3 buildings, high school, middle school. We built 1 new middle school and renovated the grade school while I was there as well.
Question 3, what do you view the responsibilities of a council member to be?
Council member, as far as I'm concerned, is the pivotal point between the city, which is an entity, and the people. We have to listen to the people in order to get that across in dollars and cents and spending that money in the right directions.
And question number 4, if appointed to the city council, are you going to be able to dedicate the time necessary that the position is going to require?
Like I said, I came down here to retire. My wife and I think, retired for about 2 months before I had to go find something to do. I'm gainfully employed at Walmart right now. I'm putting in 40 hours there. This will be something I can actually sink my teeth into.
Any questions?
Yep, same question. Why do you want to serve on this council?
Some of the things I've been coming to council meetings for probably the last 4 or 5 months. I think this city is at a potential point that if we bring in the right commercial or industrial businesses, we can grow the revenues here to a point that a 1-cent sales tax is not make or break the city. And that's what I think I can help with, because I do believe there are businesses out there, both recreational equipment or something of the like, because of the number of lakes that we have, not just in Cherokee, but in the surrounding communities. And working with the other 3 cities around to draw businesses in to not only help us, but it helps them as well.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Myers.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
There was one other person that turned in, but they did not have the required signatures, so they was invalidated because of not having the required signatures. So now I guess we get to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I move we move to executive session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Executive session. Meeting's back in session.
Mr. Mayor, before I make this motion, I would like to make this statement, and people who stood at this podium this evening, I have the highest level of respect for every one of you, and there is not one of you that came up here and did not give us something that we could use. So when this evening's over with, I really would like for the other three people who were here to understand that we're going to be reaching out to you because you've got a specific skill set that we can use in various areas in the city, and we would really like to put you to work in those areas. So please don't feel like you're not the person we wanted. We could only select one. So please keep that in mind.
I'm going to second Mr. Smith to each and every one of you to put your names forward to come up here. I very much appreciate it. And the ones whoever is not chosen, your service has just begun. If you want to be a service to the city, it would be more than welcomed.
And I would like to say that it is nice to see so many qualified individuals, and the first time in a long time I didn't see any apathy about the position.
Yes.
And I'd like to give you guys a round of applause.
Well, we've been here a long time tonight. I thank you all for hanging in with us. Do we have a motion?
With that being said, I would like to motion that we take Miss Brenda Heather Harrison as our new councilman.
Motion made by Mr. Smith to accept. Is this thing even on? Okay, there's motion made by Mr. Smith to accept. Oh, where's that paper? I'll get it wrong.
Brenda Heather Harrison.
Brenda Heather Harrison as a Heather Harrison to, what is it, Ward 1?
Position 2.
Ward 1, Position 2 seat. And seconded by
Me.
Miss Rowland. I don't know. Can we do it by voice or is that be roll call?
You need a roll call vote.
Roll call.
Roll call vote, please.
Martin,
Yes.
Rowland,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith.
I left my agenda back
Yes.
there. Yeah. So now we've come to the public comments. And I see we have two people on here. We've got Miss Michelle Peterson. If you want to come to the bench, just state your name and address for the record.
Michelle Peterson, 16 Katsina Circle, Cherokee Village. And I just want to say thank you to the mayor and to council for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight. I know that a lot of voters went out in the general election, which wasn't too long ago, and voted on this measure that the school district brought up to increase the millage, 8.9 mils. Most of the voters are not anti-taxers. They're not against, obviously, having the best school facility we can. What I believe most of the voters, including myself, are against is the fact that we want to see the options. We want to see all the options that we can. We realize it isn't cheap to do that, but when we're talking 30 mils or 30 million plus, that's a lot of money. And when it's based on computer rendering of a facade and square footage only, that's not really informing the voters. There's many states, there are many states that require a cost analysis before they ever bring that kind of millage increase for that kind of a project to the voters. Is it legal? It may be legal here in Arkansas. Is it right? A lot of voters here do not think so. And the other thing is that when the voters voted, 2/3 of those voters voted it down resoundingly. I don't believe that the voters were misinformed, nor do they believe they were misinformed, nor do I believe that they misinterpreted things, or they were confused, nor do they believe they misinterpreted or were confused. However, the special election was set within 3 weeks and 2 days after the general election. There is going to be, at the state legislature, there's going to be a senator and a representative who are going to bring to the floor to vote in the state legislature against these special elections, because most of them believe that they lead to lower voter turnout, that they suppress the voter turnout unfairly. And so there is Senator David Wallace. You may call him and talk to him about it. He will explain it to you. But I would suggest you call the senator, and I would suggest you call your state representative. Our senator is John Payton. Our state representative is Trey Steimel. Call them, tell them that you want them to vote yes for them to limit and constrain these special elections. The other issue was about the safety and the maintenance. A lot of the voters who voted this down believe that the maintenance hasn't been taken care of for many, many years. I went on the tour along with my husband. I also taught in the high school. I also taught in the middle school. I'm a retired English teacher. I retired from Highland School District. Yes, it is my school community, and I love that community. But I'm willing to stand up when I believe that what is happening is not right. And I'm going to stand with my community when their voices need to be heard, and they're trying to be silenced. And so that's why I got involved. And I do want the best education for my students, just as much as the voters who voted this millage down want that. The safety issue and the maintenance issue. The safety issue's been going on since Columbine, yet we built an A.O. Hudson Center instead of fixing that safety issue. Studies were not done with the A.O. Hudson Center, and so it was built on a natural spring. At least while I was teaching, the wood floors were repaired at least twice. It cost the district, with the taxpayer money, thousands of dollars. And that repair is going to be ongoing because it's on the spring, natural spring. There's other repairs that the school district has had to make. I don't think the voters that voted this down, 2/3 of them, want that to be the path while building a new high school. To be going even with 30 million down that path. So I think that they're saying that we don't have enough money to, it's not cost effective to renovate by a one construction manager.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
That's 5 minutes.
Okay.
Can you do just a wrap up?
Okay, so what I'd like to say is just open up for questioning. Anybody that has questions, go ahead and ask, yes.
Who is their construction manager?
I don't know the construction company. I did see representatives at the tour that we went on, but what I heard is it's a construction company that goes around building these schools.
Well, we were told
Hey, Rob.
that the school specifically had a construction manager that worked for the district that advised them of the cost of this. So who is?
And as far as I know, it's the same construction manager that did the remodeling on the middle school and the elementary school. Yes?
Do you know how many bids were given on this project?
The superintendent, the assistant superintendent answered that. There haven't been any competing bids. So there hasn't been other construction companies give a bid because it would take those reports and an architectural drawing and blueprints and studies to even be able to give a bid like that. And without that, they're not going to get it. Yes?
So in 2019, there was a 4 mil voted down
No, in 2019, the A.L. Hudson was built to 2005, 2006. In 2019, the district asked for an auditorium, like they're asking now, and they requested an increase of 4 mills. Okay, that was defeated in a special election. So now they've attached the auditorium, 900-seat auditorium, to building the new high school. So if you take what the 4 mills they were asking in 2019 to what they're asking now, 8.9 mil increase, does that mean that it's costing almost half of that total cost to have that auditorium? That's pretty expensive.
I have one more question. Fulton County is the second highest for millage in the state.
Total millage.
Or it will be total millage. If this were to pass, it would be 50%. And I used to live up north, and I watched this, and I've seen these things go as high as 84%. What is your opinion about Highland High School advertising this as being the average house worth only $50,000, and it's hardly going to change any taxes, when in fact mine would go up $550. How much would yours go up?
Okay, mine's going up like 700. But besides that, I think what happens is depending on your cost of what your home value is going to make it a big difference. I will say that the chart that the school put out on the 8.9 millage was accurate, and I conceded to that it's accurate. My problem with it is it's not figuring in when those reassessments come in. And when those reassessments come in, Amendment 99 caps it at 5%. If it is your homestead, that means that you use the homestead exemption for full residency, living there, then it caps it at 5%. But you still have to meet whatever that home value is. So you're going to get that increase every year until you catch up to whatever that home value is figured into what that
Ms. Peterson?
Can we wrap this up so that
Yeah.
if they want to ask questions, Michelle?
Yeah,
Can you hear later?
Right now, it
Their
is.
time's up right now, and it'd be nice to hear the other person that has asked to speak. You're allowed so many minutes,
Right.
and you passed that. So if you'd like to answer questions afterwards,
Yeah.
that would be a great thing that you can say. It's relevant.
Yeah. The part of the deal is that when Jeremy, what was his name? School superintendent? Jeremy Lewis had 14 minutes total to speak.
He was also on the agenda to talk about 3 minutes afterwards.
So I was trying to give her the same amount of leeway and time as Jeremy.
Thank you, Mayor. That's right.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
So they didn't have any blueprints?
No, and that is even stated in the videos for Village of the Day by the superintendent, that all they had was the rendering, the computer rendering of a facade, and went by square footage. And I don't know how you can do an accurate cost analysis based on only that. Yes?
Are we to understand that any surplus money raised on this millage increase would be used at the discretion of the school board and not applied to the bid itself?
Yes, and the superintendent spoke about that in his video. That is in the wording, the correct wording on the ballot. Now, that is something routinely that has been done. The wording is put on the ballot by the bond attorney, and it has been on there, I guess, routinely. Does it make it right, especially with the fact that if voters want to get that paid down as quickly as possible, so it's not long-term affecting them, that is a problem, that's on there. And what's going to happen with the surplus tax revenue? When they get to use it without the voters having any accountability to the voters with that surplus tax revenue over 28 years. Yes.
You have an idea of the median house price for both Sharp and Fulton County?
I've looked it up
Over
before
a lot of discrepancy lies
What?
is that assessment, because you cannot, half over, half under. I'm concerned that there is a very large contingent of people, when you consider the homestead exemption, pay zero taxes.
You mean the homestead
Yeah,
figure?
so it's important to know how many homes are under that threshold.
I haven't done
Okay,
research.
so
to know
what
how
would
many
be the
homes are.
assessed value where your homestead would disappear and you would start paying taxes? I think that's the number that we have to know.
Right,
Yeah.
I agree, that would be the
Prudent
number.
decision.
About half deaf right here, sorry.
There's a lot of factors that go into that, go into whatever you're talking about in that figure, and it's gonna be different for each individual, depending on what county you live in, what part of Cherokee Village you live in. All of that gets figured in for you to personally know. That's
Well,
why
it doesn't matter
it's
where
good
you
to call
live,
your
yeah, what
assessor.
your house is assessed at is the crux of the matter. And then I don't think it's fair to put on the school, and I'm neither here nor there as far as the initiative is concerned. What I'd like to know is why you would think that a school would spend money on architects, civil engineers, and all these other people. That's putting the cart in front of the horse. They have preliminary stuff, and I don't know anyone who goes out and gets drawings done when they have a voter initiative. That would be fiscally irresponsible to do something like that and spend taxpayer money. So I think that if they have something, it's an estimate. And
Well, I
it's
think
probably pretty close,
yeah.
but it's not fair to say, we need drawings, we need details. I don't want drawings and details, because I don't want you spending money on something that most likely is going to lose.
I don't think a CAD system is that hard to.
Ms. Peterson, we're just pretty well right at there.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for your questions. I appreciate it.
The next person is Sheila Jones. State your name and address for the record.
Sure, it's Sheila Fern Jones, and I live at 19 Kisa in the townhouses.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to welcome yourself and Andrew to the board, being the new mayor of our village. And with that being said, I want to know how many of you guys have any part of the townhouses in your district?
Yes.
Yeah, I got some in mind.
3 does too.
3 also.
Yeah, we have part as well. Yes. So 3 and 4 wards.
And I've spoken to Andrew. He knows when he went campaigning and stuff, I talked to him a lot about it. I've lived here, well, I've owned my townhouse since 2009. I've lived here permanently since 2014. My parents have lived here much longer than that, both in a home on Omaha and in a townhouse in Cherokee. As a townhouse owner, and I've talked to a lot of them about this, we feel like we are orphans from the village. There's so many times we have been told, oh, you guys are in the townhouses, you don't count. Or, yes. And if you look at our roads, I'll guarantee you, our roads have had maybe a pothole or two fixed on them, but our roads are horrendous. And there's more people going down some of our roads than some of these other roads in the village. And all I ask is that you guys take a ride down through the townhouses, take a ride through those roads, see what we're talking about, because we don't get the help. You know, it's just, so, you know, again, I go back to, so many people say, oh, well, you're not part of Cherokee Village, you live in the townhouses. And it's not fair. We pay as much as everybody else does, plus we pay a townhouse association, which has nothing to do with our roads, the ditches around our roads, anything like that. I've already talked to the chief. I've asked him to kind of increase some activity around our areas, because if anybody would sit where I live and watch the people fly up and down Santee, you would be amazed. You know, and so that's the only thing. I'm just hoping that with you as mayor, and as I already talking to Andrew about, that we just pay a little bit more attention to our townhouses, because, you know, a lot of times when you come up from here, that's the first thing you're gonna see. And our townhouse board is working very, very hard to improve the looks of our area. We had some problems a couple of years ago with the landscape company. It did start going down. It did look like we would like it to be. I think everybody will be amazed this year of how much better it's gonna look. Along with everybody else, our pool, our indoor pool, which is our townhouse pool, had hail damage, but our board went up and above to get that fixed like they should, but also make some cosmetic changes to it so it looks so much better.
Okay,
And
thank you.
for the majority of us, we all keep our townhouse, I think, really, really nice.
No, really. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Do we have any more business?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Uh-oh, Ms. Rowland, Ms.
Sorry.
Rowland, Ms.
I
Rowland.
think we have a correction because when we voted to go into executive session, it passed that we were going to discuss not only the vacancy, but the letter in which we did, and no disciplinary action was taken, and I think that has to be stated for the record.
Yes, yes, the appointment was decided, no disciplinary action taken in executive session. No more business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion we adjourn.
Mr. Smith motions and Mr. Heffley seconds. Oh, found it again.